Those of you standing, I want you to take a good look around the room. You represent 25% of this room. 25% of people in the United States experience mental illness. You may now sit down. As common as that statistic may sound, it's really shocking to, through developing this project, we found out that a lot of people who work for telecare don't have much experience in mental health, and they don't really know what mental illness looks like. So through that, we've created this video and supporting materials to really shed light on helping the viewer build insight and just allowing permission for them to ask questions, to feel supported, and to overall provide the best services that telecare is created to provide. So we would like to start off by sharing some stories that inspired our project.
So one of the things when collaborating to build this project is the stories that we all share. And one in particular that came up to mind was a housekeeper who was fairly new to the company. She'd only been there a week. She doesn't know what mental health is, what mental illness. She's just doing her daily duties, unaware of the situation going around where there's a resident who was agitated at the station, feeling unheard by the nurses, you know, feeling like she needed to need medical attention. The housekeeper just continued with her daily duties, unaware of the situation. This is the resident's opportunity to be agitated, to be heard. You know what, nobody's paying attention to me, so let me just go. And then the housekeeper was attacked. At the end of the day, we are trying to provide a safe environment for our employees so that we can continue to retain them. So in order to do this and give them the support and safety they need so that they have the equipment to effectively work with our members.
Also in sharing our stories, we got to hear stories like mine of peer supports who are new to this company. I was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years before I came into this role. And part of that role, one of the first times walking down my hallway, seeing one of my residents sit on the ground in a little ball, shaking, and he was speaking in a way I'd never heard before. He was trying to stick his finger in a light socket to get the demons out of him, with a blank stare that I only could feel inside of. Nothing else mattered in that moment except for needing hope. It brought me to that moment of sitting on that cold white tile floor and having the lights be so bright and the whooshing sound in my head completely taking over with every single heartbeat, physically shaking, sweating because I was cold but hot, and in that moment having an employee stand over you and laugh at you and ask you, what are you scared, little girl? In that moment, you feel nothing but demoralization. You feel like there's no one in the world that cares about you. And when I took this role on at the company, as now I'm a supervisor over a bunch of peers at my company, this video will help provide that information. It'll open those conversations to our employees for those hard emotions that we feel inside, those tools that we need to better serve our residents and to support each other and give each other hope so that we can bring that to our residents.
Telecare has gained so much power from the shared experience of peers. And so in this project, we wanted to include the voices of the members that we serve really early, so that staff who are new to the company have the opportunity to hear directly in a first-person voice. What is that experience like to experience a challenge of mental illness? We're aware in the company that as we're hiring new people, we still struggle with some attrition, that within the first 90 days or so, somewhere between 15 and 20% of the people that we hire move on. And our hope is that as we open this conversation with new employees and allow them to have questions, what did that person mean when they said this? What is that experience really like? How do I respond to someone who's hearing voices? That if there's room for those questions and that they begin to receive the information to help them feel empowered and to be able to respond effectively, that they're more likely to stay with us. So making this part of the training process, having it motivate staff so that they also hear in this conversation from other people who've been successful in working with clients. Our goal is then that we retain more people after hiring them. And that, of course, also importantly has an effect on our bottom line.
So the vision that we geared with this and how we would roll it out is that we wanted it to be geared towards new hires. The idea that it would be assigned on Relias and it would be then done and completed within at least 7 days, along with the supplemental questions. The supplemental questions would be given to supervisors prior to them doing the assignment so that they know the questions that would be asked of them and to be clear on the information given to the staff so that they know how to be effective in their work environment.
Part of this is too, for our current employees, we wanted to make it customizable. So maybe you could do it in an all-staff meeting, a showing party, and then have smaller group discussions, followed by the one-to-one supervision to keep the dialogue going. We really wanted it to just not be a one-and-done situation. We want it to be a continuous dialogue that supports our staff.
So we really wanted to put emphasis on the learning not happening during the video, but happening on the conversation that's had after. So when I first started working at Telecare, I started as a PSC, and I wasn't quite sure what information was okay to ask about. So I didn't know if the questions I had were the right questions, or if the topics I wanted to talk about were the right topics. I often asked myself, like, should I know this stuff? Should I even ask it? So we created materials. So the first questionnaire being starting the conversation, it's an immediate video debrief. So our idea, like Lynette has said, was for the video to be assigned immediately after they view the video. This questionnaire is something that the supervisor will use with their employer, and they will be going through these series of questions. These series of questions are framed not around your job description, but more so how you feel about the job that the services that you're providing to your client. Like, what impact did that video have on you? What are some questions that you might, that might spark some type of feeling in you that you're not sure of? This opens the conversation to have that supportive environment and just, invite it. Along with, you're gonna see this handout, which is a mental health quick tips. This quick tips form was created to help the new hire, the employer, just get more of an idea of what certain diagnoses look like. These are just like quick tips as far as like, these are some signs to look out for. This is what you might run into. Just to know, like, if you need more support, reach out to your supervisor. If you see these things, just be comfortable with asking the questions. Attached to this, you're gonna see continuing the conversation. So we wanted it to be a continuing conversation. So to emphasize that, we didn't want it to be just a questionnaire for immediately after the video. We wanted a 30-day follow-up. So this is within 30 days of somebody being hired. You have this conversation. How has your experience been? 30 days in, after seeing the video, after we had our first debrief, let's debrief a little more. Now that you've gone to see clients, now that you've experienced some things yourself, how do you feel? So that's what this questionnaire is for. So again, this is just to put more emphasis on having that open door policy, open conversation, to have the employer feel supported. In conclusion, just to feel like the support. All in all, our goal is to help prevent people from leaving our programs, retain staff, have them feel comfortable in the work that they're providing, reduce risk. We feel that if people are more aware of the signs and symptoms, if people are more aware of the support that they have to treat this population, we're less likely to run into incidents like the story shared previously. And overall, just to create that support and continuing conversation. So our goal is our hope is that you find value in this, just like we found value in it, that we may implement it across the board and utilize this for new staff to just strengthen the quality of services that we can provide to our members in these programs, because overall, that's our vision. So before we ask for your approval, I would like to open the floor for any questions that you guys may have. So I'd like to bring our team up.
I think this is an amazing project, and my name's Sharon Heckle, by the way. Have you considered piloting it in a particular program or region to see how it goes before implementing it? Or do you think we should, just implement it everywhere at the beginning? What are your thoughts on that?
So the question was, can you all hear me? The question is, should we pilot this program, check it out in a particular area before we roll it out to the greater enterprise?
Actually, I could go ahead and answer that. I was actually working with Christy, and that's something that she definitely wanted to implement. She said it would be simple to upload the video and actually pilot it at a particular program just to see how it would look, just to see how the download, even if I was the one just going on Reliance to see how it is, and to then better be able to judge how it would work on the other programs as well.
Just to add to that, I think it would be great if we implemented it if we had pilots from different types of programs, just because that's something we learned within this. Like my program, we always do Be Direct, and then I'm working with like the inpatient, like, oh, we don't even know what that is, and so we have different things. I think it would be great to have something that we could do in our inpatient programs, our outpatient programs, our crisis houses.
What other comments and questions do you have?
So I'm Ann. I'm so impressed with you guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we have this new staff orientation that we've been implementing. And so how are you thinking of these efforts dovetailing with the new staff orientation, or did you? Did you see this? Did you discuss that? Or other?
I can take some of that. I actually trained with Renee. My name is Sean Martin. I'm with our Arizona programs. So I trained with Renee. I'm a new hire orienter. I think it really fits really well into the new hire orientation as a supplemental or a follow-up, because a lot of times I think during orientation a lot of things are touched on that aren't discussed at length. So this video, I think, really prompts additional questions that you may not have thought of during your orientation process that you can later sit down while you're building that relationship with your immediate supervisor, building that comfort to ask those additional questions.
Hey, go ahead.
I'm just curious, in your experience interacting with your colleagues in your programs, how many people, what percentage of your colleagues do you feel need this information? So I'll just be candid. I'm surprised, right? I know we're a mental health company, and I know we don't always hire people who have mental health training because we have a whole range of roles. Are you finding that people in a mental health role need this kind of advice and support, or are you targeting this for folks who are not in a mental health role and may not be prepared? Can you share more about what your experience is?
So the question was, are we looking at it, what is the percentage of people we feel really don't have experience and kind of get that big shock when they start in the organization? If we feel like it's something that is common or maybe not so common, and so there's specific roles that you were thinking about targeting, how can you respond to that?
I think what we really kind of found as a group when we all came together, because we all come from very different types of programs, we all have different roles within those programs. What we kind of found is that it really varies from program type to program type. Where in Arizona we run ACT teams. In Arizona, it's very difficult to find licensed staff, strongly experienced staff. So a lot of our staff coming in are entry-level type positions that really haven't had exposure to behavioral health scenarios. For them, it'd really be beneficial to have that discussion initiated. In our inpatient units, what we're finding is a lot of times nursing staff coming in may have a strong medical background, but not necessarily a psych background. So there is some shock value that happens, right, coming into that environment. So I think really, regardless of program type, this would be a value to everybody, regardless of their position.
I would add to that, even just coming in as a new clinician many years ago, I had an idea of what symptoms and behaviors looked like from reading the DSM and going through classes. When I actually first encountered somebody really in the grips of mania, I was quite shocked about how acute those symptoms were. It took me by surprise. I was like, oh, this is what that looks like. So I think even at a clinical level, especially for new clinicians or folks that are just coming out of master's programs even, there's value in having that conversation, normalizing it, making space for questions, making it okay to say, I don't really know how this works. Giving people space to work through that.